Hello and welcome to another Miss Alley Cat DIY video. I am so excited to show you 3 Dollar Tree miniature Easter decor pieces. Oh my goodness, that was a lot to say. I am so excited. Before we get started though, I do want to just send my love your way and say I hope and pray you're all doing well. I don't want to go into everything that's going on in the world. I'm sure you all know. But I just wanted to say you're in my thoughts and prayers, and I hope you are all doing well. With that being said, let's use this video as a distraction and get on into this DIY. So for this first DIY, I wanted to show you how I made this adorable stack of miniature books. I have seen very similar things to this on Pinterest, but the books are usually a lot larger. So I thought it would be so much fun to recreate this using Dollar Tree's Tumbling Tower game. So that's exactly what I did. Right now I'm working on the largest book in the stack. I am gluing with hot glue 3 blocks going horizontal and then 2 blocks going vertical on each side. And I just used hot glue, like I said, but if you want it to be more heavy duty, you of course could use something like E6000 or like a more heavy duty wood glue. But this is our first book and that's all there is to it. And don't worry if some of your blocks like mine aren't the same color because we're going to be painting it. Now for the second book, this is the medium-sized book, the one that's in the center of the stack. I am just simply hot gluing together 3 blocks going horizontal, and once again I'm using hot glue, and then I will shortly glue 1 block to the side going vertical. And yeah, just gluing that together, and we'll set that aside and work on the smallest book. For the third and final book, I just took 3 blocks. Once again, doesn't matter what color the blocks are because we will be painting it. And I'm just gluing these 3 blocks horizontal. And yeah, that's it. That's how I formed the shapes of the books. And let's move on to the next step. For this next step, I'm taking some white acrylic paint. So all I'm doing is I'm taking my paint. This is just paint that I had on hand, and I'm just painting 3 sides. You don't have to paint the top or the bottom of your blocks, just simply because paper will cover that. And you also can skip whatever side you want your binder to be on. So that's exactly what I did, and I painted those 3 sides. I did those 3 sides of each of my blocks that we made about 3 or 4 times, just until I had a good coverage of paint where I needed it. And so I hope that that makes sense, but you can see like the one I'm holding in my hand, I only painted those 3 sides, not the top, not the bottom, just those 3 sides, and not where I want my binder to be. So to really make this look like a book, I took a piece of paper, doesn't have to be cardstock, just thick enough so that you can't see through the paper, and my paper is a strip that's just wide enough to be about the same width as my block, and I do have it so that it only goes around the block so that it looks like a book cover. However, I do end up trimming it pretty shortly, and as you can see, when I have the paper around my block, I did take my finger where the binder needs to go and just kind of pushed it out, smoothing it out so that it looked more like a binder. And just like I previously mentioned, I did end up trimming it just so that the paper just comes around the block so that it really looks just like a book cover. So the process for the other 2 books was of course the exact same, just a different color. So I used white paper for one book and pink paper for the other, and smoothed out the binders, and I think they're all so stinking cute. Alright, so now to really customize them and make them look more Easter appropriate. So before I glued down the book covers, I wanted to write titles for each of my books. For the smallest one, I just simply wrote thumb, which I think is super cute, and I have seen this done on Pinterest, so that's where I got the idea. I tried to do the font very similar to Ray Dunn. I know I didn't quite hit the mark, but I still think it's pretty cute, and so that's kind of what I was going for. And here's me writing the second book in the middle. I just put the word bunny, and for the third and final book, I put the title Loves You. So it reads out, Some Bunny Loves You. Super cute, and once again, I did see this done on Pinterest. And here's just an example of what all of the book titles look like together. So stinking cute, and now it's time to glue the paper to all of the wooden blocks. For this part, pretty easy. I'm just hot gluing down the book covers to both sides of the wooden blocks that we made and just making sure to smooth it all out, doing it fairly quickly. And yeah, I did of course do this to all 3 of my books, and here's just all of those done like that. Now to make it look even more farmhouse, I'm taking some twine and I just wrapped it like around the width of all 3 of my books, pulled it around and wrapped it around lengthwise of all of the books, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tie a simple bow on top. Not a bow expert by any means, just did like your basic bow, and yeah, so I just tied that, and I did have way too much twine there, so I took my scissors and just kind of trimmed it off. And I just think it's super cute, and I love how the book titles say Some Bunny Loves You. Okay, so now to make some adorable, very farmhouse looking miniature carrots that we're going to make a little miniature garland out of. First things first, I'm just taking a square piece of like any kind of paper will do. This is just your basic printer paper, about a couple inches by a couple inches, no specific measurement. I'm just twisting it and forming a little miniature cone, and then I will just go ahead and tape it when I've got the cone shape that I want. Once I had the shape I wanted, I did take my scissors and just kind of trim off the top, just because I wanted this carrot to be a little bit on the shorter side. You can of course make longer carrots, shorter carrots, different shapes if you want. So I did end up doing a total of 6 carrots, even though I'm showing 3. It's just something that it just kind of happened by the time I was done making all of this. So now I'm just taking this twine from Dollar Tree. I found it in the automotive section. Anywho, I'm taking my hot glue and using just a very small amount at the tip of this cone. And I'm just going to go ahead and very carefully, trying not to burn myself, be careful. I'm just going to go ahead and stick it on the end of that and then slowly start to wrap it around. The process to make the carrot is basically the same thing that I just described. I'm just taking the twine and putting a teeny tiny amount of hot glue and wrapping it around the cone. And I'm just taking it fairly slowly so that I have the twine like pretty tightly up next to each other, and just using a small amount of hot glue every time that I twisted it around, and did that same thing until I reached the top of my cone, or the top of the carrot, I guess. For this particular carrot, I did take the twine, and once I basically reached the top of the cone, I went back down around 3 or 4 times, of course gluing as I went, and then I went back up the cone, kind of creating a thicker carrot at the top. That's totally optional. You could just simply wrap it around until you reach the top and trim it. Now I've got 3 pieces of twine that I cut, and they're about an inch to an inch and a half long. Once again, it doesn't really matter. I just have them together. I'm putting a small dab of hot glue inside of our cone that we just wrapped twine around, and I just stuck those 3 pieces of twine into the cone so that we can form our carrot. Now, to make it look even more like a carrot, I'm using this Sharpie. It's this really like almost neon colored green, and I'm just gonna go ahead and paint the stems of this carrot with this Sharpie. I did end up trimming those stems just a little bit. It's totally personal preference. Some of my carrots I had longer stems and some were shorter. Each carrot was a little bit different. Now I'm using this orange color, very similar to a carrot, I think, and it is a Sharpie, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing, only to like the base of the carrot. I'm just gonna go ahead and paint all the way around this carrot with this Sharpie. I think it's so cute, and I don't know, the colors are just very, because they're kind of more muted when you put it on the twine. It's a little bit more farmhouse. When I had all that done, I realized I could still see the white part of my cone, so I did go back in with some more twine and just wrapped the very top of our carrot. Some of my carrots I didn't have to do this, and some I did. You just kind of have to play it by ear, and like I said, they all kind of have a different personality. So yeah, but for this one I did do this, and I think it made a heck of a difference. And then I just of course trimmed it off. Make sure to tuck it in and glue that twine. Sorry, my hand keeps going off of the screen. I do apologize. It's one of those things I didn't realize until I was editing. Of course, go back in with that Sharpie and just color that twine that we just added. Because my carrot was a little fuzzy, I did go back in with my scissors and just kind of trimmed up the whole thing and got rid of most of those little fuzzy bits. Here's how this carrot turned out. I think it's absolutely adorable, and I did make 5 more. And here's just another example of a carrot. As you can see, they're not all the same, but I think that's what gives it personality. So here are all of my little carrots that I've made. I think they're all so cute, and I love how they're not all the same. And so now let's make them into an adorable little garland. So all I'm doing is I have a longer piece of that twine that we used before, and I think it's around a foot, maybe a little bit longer. And so all I'm gonna do is I'm taking each carrot. I've already kind of figured out the spacing. So I've started in the middle, put a little hot glue just like on the center of the carrot, and just pressed it into the twine and did that 6 times until I had an adorable miniature carrot garland. Of course, you can make this twine garland as long as you want or as short, totally up to you, very customizable. For the next and final little mini DIY, I want to show you how I made these adorable bunny ears out of pipe cleaners. So for this, I'm using some wire cutters and a white pipe cleaner. I did end up making 2 miniature bunny ears, and so you just need 1 pipe cleaner to do that. I am bending this pipe cleaner into a U shape, just kind of until I feel like it looks like what a miniature headband would look like. And then when I had the right shape, I did take my wire cutters and just trim that off. And this is the shape that I was left with, and then I just set that aside. So now I'm going to be working with white felt and pink felt to make the cute little bunny ears. So working with that white felt and my scissors, I'm just cutting out a very small basically a teardrop shape, and I did do this 2 times. So here's what I mean by a teardrop shape. I did do that 2 times like I said, and now I'm going to be working with that pink felt. So to make it a little bit easier, I simply took the white teardrop shape that I cut out, and I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue it to my pink felt. Once I glued that down, I'm just going to go ahead and take my scissors and cut around that white shape, basically doing the exact same thing again, only a little bit larger of a teardrop shape, until I was left with this, and I did that 2 times for one headband. Now all that's left to do is glue our ears to our headband. So pretty self-explanatory. That's exactly what I'm doing. I just kind of eyeballed where ears on a headband would be, and I just simply hot glued them down, kind of holding them for a few seconds until they're dry for each ear. And there you have it, some adorable little miniature bunny ears. Super cute. I think it makes adorable decor. Alright, so here's just like a little bonus DIY. Really easy. I've just got some elastic here that I've just made a little bit larger than like my thumb would be, and I'm just cutting that. I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the 2 ends together. I just thought this would be really cute to go along with the bunny ears. A little bunny tail. I suppose you could put this on like a Barbie. Not sure if it'd be the right size, but you could easily make this work for a doll. And I'm just taking a small dab of hot glue and gluing that little pom-pom to that. I also think it just makes really cute decor. I don't know, I thought I would throw that in there. So I just have everything that we just made next to some of the DIYs that I've previously made on this channel, which, by the way, if you want to know how to make anything else that you see on your screen, I will go ahead and link those DIYs up above on the right hand corner of your screen and in the description box below, as well as everything that you will need to make these DIYs. That will be in the description box below as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to pounce on that like button and hit subscribe. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, feel free to click on that notification bell to be notified when I upload a new video. Once again, you are in my thoughts and prayers, and I hope you all are doing well. Until next time, this is Miss Alley Cat DIY signing off. Bye-bye.